Hello, my name is Hope Kentner and I am the founder of eDevLearn. Developing a curriculum is the first step in teaching well online. I am here to share with you how to develop a curriculum for an online course. Note that this process can be applied to a traditional semester-long academic course, an eDevLearn micro course, or even just a traditional presentation. For those of you new to eDevLearn, eDevLearn is an education company. We are committed to and passionate about improving the quality of online learning in and outside of academia. I personally believe that learning is the solution to most issues faced by our modern world. I hope I can inspire you to share my enthusiasm and work to change the way we see online learning. At eDevLearn, we have two business arms. The first is a consulting business in which we work with universities to help them develop, operate, and manage online programs. The work ranges from teaching faculty how to teach online to guiding the administration of online and hybrid programs. Our goal is to teach the institution how to do all of this themselves so they no longer need our services. Essentially, we work to work ourselves out of a job. The second business arm of eDevLearn is developing custom, online, self-paced professional development or continuing education microcourses for businesses, associations, and universities. An eDevLearn microcourse can be completed in an hour and teaches the learner a competency or skill in component parts. Essentially, a microcourse is a small block of content which aims to teach material in chunks or parts. Think of a traditional academic course like Introduction to Accounting. An example of a microcourse within that context would be how to read a balance sheet or how to read a profit and loss statement. Not only is this a manageable way of learning in terms of time, but research supports that teaching in small increments enhances learning outcome achievement, retention, and student satisfaction. At eDevLearn, we are striving to build quality and effective instruction to the continuing education market. Are you in a profession that requires continuing education credits? Rather than simply taking courses for compliance, use this as an opportunity to learn a new skill related to your profession. In this video, I will teach you how to develop a curriculum for an online course. As stated previously, developing a curriculum is the first step in teaching well online. I hope you find this course effective, targeted, and efficient. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I am deeply committed to improving the quality of online learning. I believe online learning will only continue to increase, and we will all need to focus more readily on student learning and improving the learning experience. Let's begin by briefly reviewing some key terminology. Curriculum. Curriculum is the content comprising a module, course, or program. Essentially, it is the knowledge and skills a learner is expected to know or be able to do as they progress through a module, course, or program. A module is a component of a larger entity or a subsection of a course. Modules contain different, discrete topics within the course. Think of a course as an entire book and modules as chapters in that book. Learning objectives are targeted statements referencing what a learner will be able to do at the end of instructional activities. For clarity, I usually break these up into two terms: course learning objectives and module learning objectives. Course objectives are statements that reflect general course-wide goals or outcomes, while module objectives narrowly reflect individual topics in each module. Essentially, course objectives reflect what the learner will be able to perform at the end of the course, and module objectives reflect what the learner will be able to perform at the end of the module. The final concept I want to cover is objective-driven curriculum. This is a curriculum development process that is guided by both course and module objectives, in which the objectives serve as a roadmap for the course and provide both faculty and learners with direction and a tool for measurement. The benefits of an objective-driven curriculum cannot be overstated. For the learner, it establishes expectations that enable more student-centered learning. For the subject matter experts or professor, it provides purpose and intent to the organization and flow of the course, which is integral to quality online instruction. Institutions and accrediting bodies favor objective-driven curriculum because it serves as an internal control and quality assurance mechanism by providing evidence of learning. Now let's dive into Module 1, the steps to develop an objective-driven curriculum. eDevLearn's objective-driven curriculum process is comprised of 6 steps. Step 1, write course objectives. Step 2, develop a course outline. Step 3, write module objectives. Step 4, determine the best tools for delivering content. Step 5, organize the content to ensure flow. And the final step, Step 6, assessment. Now let's go over each step. Step 1, write course objectives. Course objectives drive the course. They are broad statements reflecting general course goals and outcomes. Ask yourselves, what do you want the student to know and be able to do upon completion of the course? Objectives serve many purposes. They facilitate overall course development by encouraging goal-directed planning. They provide information for the development of assessments by identifying the types of evidence that students need to produce to demonstrate understanding. They clarify the intent of instruction, drive curriculum planning, and guide the formation of instructional activities. They serve as an implicit contract between subject matter experts and the learner, setting up a basis for accountability and expectations of learning activities. They create a framework for evaluating overall effectiveness of an educational program, student understanding and progress, and lastly, they provide evidence of student learning. In order to serve these many purposes, learning objectives must be measurable, demonstrate what the student will be able to do, be focused on the student, not the teacher, and finally, target one expectation or aspect of understanding. Here's an example of a complete learning objective. By the end of the session, the first-year medical student will be able to describe 3 methods used to evaluate the efficacy of any new drug when presented with evidence from the literature. So often, the biggest challenge in developing learning objectives is finding the measurable verb to describe what the student will do. Why is this important? Because it tells us how the student must apply the information. Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives is a helpful tool in phrasing learning objectives that help guide instructional activities, assessment, and ensuring the content is developed essential to mastering the competency. In the example of a learning objective we just used, the terms describe and evaluate are the measurable terms used for assessing mastery of the competency by the medical student. Therefore, these verbs have informed learners they must know how to apply the information, while also informing the professor or auditor how they will assess the student to ensure comprehension. I encourage you to review the eDevLearn Writing Learning Objective and Course Objectives handout on Bloom's taxonomy, which is available on the eDevLearn website. This will assist you when writing both course and module objectives. Well-written objectives are the most important aspect when developing a curriculum for an online course. Quite honestly, I equate writing learning objectives to using painter's tape when painting a wall with trim. You will have far fewer painting mistakes. You will work much quicker and with greater confidence if you spend the extra minutes developing objectives. Let's move on to step 2 of the curriculum development process, to develop a course outline or list of topics based on the course objectives. A course outline simply lists all of the topics or components that a learner needs to fulfill the outcomes. For instance, while I have several objectives for this course, let's just look at the broad one. Upon completion of this course, the learner will be able to develop a curriculum for an online or hybrid course using eDevLearn's 6 steps in curriculum development. In order for the learner to be able to do this, I created the following outline based on what the learner needs to know to be able to satisfy the objective. As you can see with this outline, I am merely listing everything the learner needs to know to be able to develop a curriculum for an outline for a hybrid course. Consider this step to be a brainstorming session, listing everything necessary to achieve the objectives. While the outliner list does not have to be in the correct order immediately, the more concise and orderly it is now, the easier step 3 will be. Once you have the general outline drafted, look at it again and see if you need to arrange things for logical flow. Once you have a general outline or list of topics, you are ready to move to step 3, to write module objectives. Using your course outline, break up your content into sections. You may already have this in sections, but it is necessary for us to develop module objectives or objectives for each one of those sections. Let's take the outline example we used above for this course. If you have the eDevLearn Writing Learning Objectives handout, please have it as a handy reference. In order to develop a curriculum, one must first understand the terminology. Therefore, one of my module objectives could be to differentiate the key terms: curriculum, module, course objectives, module objectives, and objective-driven curriculum. Module objectives, similar to course objectives, have tremendous value. They tell the learner what they should be able to do by the end of the module, allowing the learner to manage their own learning. They guide the instructor on what needs to be covered, and finally, they dictate how to assess the student. For instance, take my module objective of differentiating the key terms. I could assess that with an essay, multiple choice questions, or an assessment tool that can measure the student's ability to differentiate the terms. This is again where the use of relevant verbs from Bloom's taxonomy comes into play. Module objectives guide the content, both for the student and the professor. Now proceed to each section of your outline and write relevant module objective. If in step 2 you developed a list of topics rather than a detailed outline, this is where you can move things around to create an outline based on the topics. Now the fun part, step 4, determine the best tools to deliver the content. Due to advancements in educational technology, there are many tools available. The hard part is finding the right tool for the job, or better stated, the right tool for the objective. You do not want to find a cool technology tool and use it in your class randomly. You want to have the objective and find the right tool to deliver that content. It is very easy to get carried away with the technology. To avoid this, first think of one of the topics in the outline. Imagine you are stuck in the elevator with a student and you had to teach them that concept or topic. What props would you want to have to explain it? You have access to any and all props. How would you teach them? Again, what is the best tool for that job? I call this the elevator pitch. Please note, this is where I can help. If you are struggling to translate content into the online classroom, please contact me and we can talk through it. Step 5 of the curriculum development process is organization. This is where you look through your outline, course layout, and content and make sure everything flows and makes sense. I usually use a course map, which has everything laid out in one document. You can download the eDevLearn course map on our website to give you an idea of what a completed course map looks like. Organization and planning in an online course is critical. more so than in a traditional face-to-face course. I feel in face-to-face classes you can wing it. This is not the case in online courses. The content has to be laid out logically, as you are not there at the start of each class to walk the students through each area. You need to be able to logically go from one section to another and to another. Look back at the objectives and the content and be sure you have covered everything that is necessary in order for the student to meet the objectives. Alrighty, we are almost there. Step 6 of the curriculum development process is assessment. It is time to determine how you're going to assess the learners and ensure they have met the course and module objectives. I am an advocate for using both formative and summative assessments. Formative assessments are evaluations at different points throughout the course to ensure the students are keeping up with the content, or rather, assessing students on achieving module objectives. We use formative assessments in eDevLearn microcourses by requiring students to take a brief knowledge check after each module. Summative assessments are assessments at the end of the class to be sure the students meet the course objectives. This is also done in eDevLearn microcourses, in which there are a few added questions at the end of the final module. Either way, with both course and module objectives established, it should be easier for you to develop both formative and summative assessment tools for your course. Finally, if you are watching this video for instruction on how to develop a curriculum for an eDevLearn microcourse, the steps and process are the same, just in smaller pieces. The difference between an eDevLearn microcourse and a traditional course is the entire eDevLearn microcourse should take the learner no more than 1 hour to complete. I generally break each course into 4 modules, each taking about 15 minutes to complete. Each module then consists of 4 to 7 minute video, followed by a few questions to ensure the learner has met the module objectives and understands the material. The reason for the 1 hour time frame for each course is most continuing education credits are based on a 50 or 60 minute requirement, with 1 continuing education credit awarded for 1 hour of learning. That is it. This concludes the video on how to develop a curriculum for an online course using eDevLearn's 6 steps. As stated at the outset, I love online learning. Why? Because learning is the healing agent for almost all issues faced by our modern world. And online learning creates so many opportunities for so many who do not have the time, transportation, or ability to go sit in a classroom for hours. Let's change the way we look at and experience online learning. We know it is here to stay. Please join me in the quest to build learning experiences that are more engaging, interactive, effective, and efficient. Let's change the world with learning.